Good afternoon. Welcome to the Diversity in Business Awards. I'm thrilled to be here today with Tony Jenkins and to learn more about his experience and his leadership in diversity and inclusion efforts over his career. So Tony, thank you so much for being with us. I have a first question for you.
Absolutely.
So I'm curious, what was the first time in your career as a professional when you really began to notice an imbalance or a disparity in the diversity and inclusion in your workplace? And could you just tell us a little bit about that and how it led to you becoming a leader in that field?
Wow, you're going to make me go way back now. I would have to say that what comes to mind is my first job out of college, which was in 1979 with a very large organization. And I remember the first management trainee class. There were 25 individuals in this class, and we got the names, and I saw everyone that was in the class. But when I got on site there, I recognized that out of the 25 folks, there was only 2 of us that were people of color. And the other person was from my college as well. So that struck me as kind of odd, and back then I was just excited to have a job. But that stayed in my mind around the imbalance and around the discrepancy of why not others that looked like me weren't included in this job pool. So that was kind of my first reference mark to this.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure that was very noticeable. And I'm just curious, how did that then lead you to become really, to kind of spur your advocacy to level the table, so to speak, and to create more awareness in your organization?
Well, it's interesting that job was and it was an operations job. I had no idea of the path that would lead me to ultimately work doing diversity work. But throughout my operations career, it was a great training ground for understanding the business side of operations and working in a fast-paced environment, the sense of urgency and holding people accountable. But that really was a good foundation for ultimately when I got into the diversity work, because that always was a reference around the representation and making sure that you reflected your customer base and your community. So that was a good foundation for me to refer back to when I ultimately got into diversity.
Okay, great. So I want to talk about Orlando for a moment. Orlando's a very rapidly growing city. A lot of folks coming here from other locations and geographies. What do you see as some critical elements or critical additions that the Orlando community at large really needs to focus on to ensure that there's great diversity across all sectors in the Orlando workplace?
Yep. So the good news is I think that we're definitely on the right path. We still have work to do in our community, but we are fortunate to work in a community where there's so many facets of diversity that's represented. When you take a look at our growing Hispanic community and our Puerto Rican influence, when you take a look at the Caribbean growth and the African American market that's already been here. So I feel like we've already had a good, strong representation of diversity in all segments. But the key is, and the challenge is, are we utilizing these communities and these individuals to their fullest? Are they included into the mainstream of business? How do we view them as a part of our priorities when we think about the Orlando community? That's the challenge that we've got to make sure that we're including and engaging all facets of our community to take part in this community as we work to achieve prosperity for all. We want to make sure that all are included. And let me say one more thing is that there's some great work that's happening all throughout the community, but I'm very proud of the work that the Orlando Economic Partnership is doing with its DEI initiative, especially around asking organizations to take a pledge,
Okay.
around making sure that businesses were fully engaged in ensuring that we were holding each other accountable to making sure we reached the desired outcomes in our community.
How do you feel about the progress of that? That's really great to hear, and I know that the OEP plays a really strong role in a lot of development components for this greater community. But how do you feel as far as how on track? Are there any risks that those efforts to improve our diversity and inclusion, that they get derailed, or do you feel like everything is making the right progress?
Yeah, I think that when you talk about diversity and inclusion and us working to achieve full, full acceptance and full understanding of all, it takes leadership. And so I'm very proud of the leadership of the Orlando Economic Partnership that took a stand and said, we're going to include other leaders in this community because leadership voices are critical. And leadership not only from business, leadership from our nonprofit sectors, our arts community. They're leaders, they're community voices that are leaders in their communities. We need everyone to make sure that that their voice is heard, that they are sharing what opportunities that they need to be heard, they need to be listened to. And so it's important for us through the OEP to help spur this through leadership, through asking leaders and businesses to sign the pledge to make sure that they first of all are taking a lead in their organizations, and that it can spread out through the community, through the nonprofit sector, and we all can hopefully be steering towards this one goal, one common goal in our region.
Okay, great. Well, you've been a leader and a great advocate in this realm that we're talking about with diversity and inclusion. Could you share with me just a few of the most significant moments of pride that you've had over the years, and talk about your advocacy, some things that really stood out for you?
Well, as most folks know, I don't like to talk about myself, but I would have to say that what stood out is that I've recognized that the journey that I've been on has taught me, and I've grown and I've learned so much about myself through understanding and listening to others, and how their life experiences has either given them opportunities or has held them back. And it's allowed me to listen and to vow to always keep my efforts focused on equality, equity, and share this message out to others. It's important that when you talk about diversity work, and where I've tried to focus in on, I call it the head and the heart work. A lot of people get the head work, the business. You hear people talk about the business rationale for diversity. We want to increase revenue. Sure, we get that. But the heart work. How do you view others that are different than you? That's the tough conversations where people have to move out of their comfort zones. And that's the level of engagement through relationships that I think that we have to make sure that we're moving towards. And that's where my journey has taken me. I've tried to weave in the conversations through every program that I've been a part with on building effective relationships across cultural lines, across gender lines, whatever the difference may be. That's the way that we'll get to true equality, in my opinion.
Great, very insightful. So think back to 1979. You're fresh out of college, you're joining a large organization. Here in 2021, there is some new college graduate out there that's just getting ready to join a large organization.
Yeah.
Given all of your experience and exposure, what are some key thoughts or key words of advice that you would give to a young person coming into the workplace to have a step up or a leg up in terms of really being able to follow in your footsteps, or to learn from things that you've learned?
Wow, it is a different world. But I'll tell you some of the core facets of business haven't changed. And this is what I would tell someone just entering the world of work today. Listen, be authentic. Work hard at being your true self. Now, it's going to take work for you to understand who you are, what motivates you, what your blind spots are. But the more that you operate out of your true, authentic self, and how genuine you are, that's what people are going to really see. And so I would ask folks to work. It's a given that you've got to work really hard at your craft, at whatever your profession is. That's a given. Give it all you got. Work 110%. But again, on the side that comes to your personality and how you view others, how you work with others, how you relate to others, that's the important part that I don't think people give enough attention to. And that piece is going to speak loudly for how you build yourself up in your character and your integrity. And that is going to carry through you throughout your entire career.
Very, very, very great words of advice. So thank you for sharing. On the realm of advice, so Orlando has a very strong, well-connected business community with some very strong leadership in it. If you were to give some advice to the greater Orlando business and community leaders around how Orlando continues to improve in diversity and inclusion in its efforts, what would that advice sound like?
Again, I'm very proud of this community. What the challenges and the changes that we've been through as a community coming out of this pandemic, where we've seen our economy impacted, going through the post tragedy several years ago. We know how to come together, and we know how to support each other. But the thing that impresses me the most is I've seen leadership take the opportunity in bringing this community together, regardless of the community size, the community makeup, the community, whether it's underprivileged or not. I've seen our leadership take the lead in making sure that we're working towards, you heard me say it before, prosperity for all. But to get there, we have to listen. We have to genuinely listen and create safe spaces for people to share their thoughts, to share what the gaps are, what the barriers are. And I've seen our leaders host town hall sessions, seminars, where we're asking for feedback. We're asking folks to share. How can we make this community better for you? And that's what we've got to continue to do. We have to continue to listen. We have to continue to understand from all others that are represented in this community and help them to see a place where they could have a voice in helping this community reach our ultimate goal.
That's great. Thank you so much for all of those insights and all of your wisdom. You've been a leader and an integral part of the Central Florida business community for a number of years, and you've had a huge impact. I know that you've also received a number of awards for your service and for your commitment to diversity and inclusion. You are being recognized and being sought out for possibly winning this year's Diversity in Business Awards. And I just would like to ask, how would that rank, or where would that rank in terms of just different accomplishments that you've had? Because you've had a very distinguished career. How would you feel if you were to win this year?
Well, first of all, I love this community. I grew up in this community. And most folks may not know that my parents were farm workers in DeLand. When I was actually born in Jacksonville, but my parents are from Central Florida as well. So I have a great affinity for this community. I've been here, like I said, since 1979. So I feel like the opportunity to be recognized for this, I can't think of anything that I would view as something that would outrank this or outweigh this, because I have truly attempted to live by example, and to showcase who I am through treating others equitably and fairly. And the diversity work is nothing more, in my opinion, than an outreach of who I am. And so I feel like this opportunity for this recognition is just unspeakable to me. I can't even think of the words, because of how satisfied and how full this makes me feel to be recognized by the OBJ. So.
Wow, that's terrific. Well, sorry, I have to check my script here because I have one or two things left, but I do have I have a last comment. I just want to say, I just want to sincerely thank you for being part of this event. Thank you for being one of our folks that is being recognized, and one of those that one of our finalists for the award. So, and I too thank the OBJ for their great efforts, and I hope that this being nominated for this certainly makes your list as one of the highlights in a very, very distinguished, very proud career. So, Tony, I just want to thank you for all the great work you've done, and Central Florida is a better place for all of your efforts. Please know that.
Well, thank you. It's my pleasure to serve, and I've enjoyed it.
Great. Great. And now
One final note.
we have one final note here that my trusty counterpart
We are
has.
thrilled to actually present you
Wow.
with the Lifetime Achievement Award for
Unbelievable.
Diversity in Central Florida, sponsored by the OBJ.
That is
I'm
phenomenal.
actually living proof of what your efforts have led in terms of corporate America. So thank you, Tony.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, Tony, I just want to once again congratulate you on the Lifetime Achievement Award, and I sincerely want to thank you. As an 11-year resident of the community, I truly can see just the impact that you've had on the Central Florida business community, and the great efforts around diversity and inclusion that you have brought. It's a terrific award, and I wonder if you would just share with our audience just some of the reactions and thoughts that are going through your mind right now.
Well, it's very hard for me to share all of my emotions and thoughts right now, just because my work has been focused on serving and helping others achieve their goals. I sort of take the spotlight off of myself, and I put it on the community and people that I love. So to be recognized by the Orlando Business Journal is something that is definitely will be the highlight of my career. And I want to thank those that that saw fit to put my name in the hat, because I do see where my contributions have just joined in others to help this community along its journey of being a great place to work, live, and play. So I want to thank you. And again, I'm emotional right now, just because this is so meaningful to me, and to be able to achieve this in this community. Thank you very much.